Many countries in Latin America have been ruined by socialism. I see the United States, and there are so many resemblances to what's going on in Chile. And when we lose the United States, we lose the Western world. My name is Axel Kaiser, and this is my story. I'm a Chilean citizen, I'm a scholar, and a best-selling author. I was born in Santiago, Chile, 4th of July, 1981. My family came from Germany. There was an official policy of the Chilean government in the 19th century to bring Germans to the country in order to help develop the country. So Chile went through a very traumatic period in the 60s and 70s. We had a socialist Marxist revolution, and then the country ended up in a complete crisis with hyperinflation, with scarcity of basic goods and services. My parents who lived through this, they told us these stories. They couldn't find milk for the children. They had to queue for buying toilet papers. Then we had the free market reforms in the 70s and 80s, and the country had a huge process of progress, and these problems went away. We imported from the United States the very good ideas of the Chicago School of Economics, which were really ideas of free market and, rule of law and things like that. And that's why we became the most successful nation in Latin America. But then, gradually, as if we had learned nothing from the past, a discourse started to gain traction, a discourse that was focused on equality, a discourse that was focused on going against people who have been very successful and redistributing a lot from the wealthy. And then the government started growing and growing again, and the country is going back to its very tragic past of economic failure. One of the worst policies was a tax reform, which dramatically increased the taxes on corporations. Now we want to introduce a tax on the wealthy, so the wealthy are leaving the country. We have record capital flights, and as a result of that, we have to take more debt, and then you can have a fiscal crisis and your government can go bankrupt, all because of this woke revolution that we are going through. So another policy that's very toxic is the war that is being waged against the police in Chile. Left-wing woke activists have taken over the judiciary. So the courts have basically not impartial judges, but what they have is activists who are releasing these criminals over and over again. Police don't dare to do anything anymore because the minute they touch someone, media going after them, judges going after them, and their lives are ruined. And this has led to a massive increase in homicides and crime like we had never seen before in Chilean history. And this is heartbreaking to see the place you grew up, being completely destroyed by these ideologies and these ideas. I have been the main face of this battle in Chile for over 10 years. I wrote books, I wrote dozens of articles warning that this was going to happen even 10 years before it happened. And it's very heartbreaking when you have done so much to try to help your country. And I can tell you, once you lose a country, there is almost no way back. It's very hard to recover it. For the last 40 years, the United States served as an example for the whole of Latin America. When we have been inspired by the United States and ideas like freedom and equality before the law, we have been very successful. But now I see the United States, and there are so many resemblances to what's going on in Chile, like the defund the police movement. Cancel culture is driving the public debate. The economy is being destroyed by narratives that try to punish the rich. Chile was the most prosperous nation and the safest nation in Latin America, and now has been ruined by wokeism, and people are leaving the country because it's unlivable. Where are you going to go if you lose your country here in the United States? Are you going to emigrate to Sweden? Are you going to emigrate to Spain, to China, to Russia, to India? This is not an option. When we lose the United States, we lose the Western world. The founding tradition of the United States is the idea of moral equality. That's basically what makes this country unique. It enables people to pursue their own happiness, and in the end, this is the way that prosperity is achieved, by people collaborating in mutual arrangements and free exchanges, and not by government telling you what you have to do. That's, I think, the main difference between Latin America and the United States. Latin America is dominated by narratives that are very much against individual liberty and that are in favor of government intervention. And the left doesn't like personal liberty because it goes against their agenda to be able to control people's lives and to concentrate power in their own hands. In 2019, when we had huge problems in Chile, we had a social crisis, people went on the streets, then the far left pushed the agenda that what Chile needed in order to solve this social crisis was a new constitution. And what they really wanted was to create new laws that would destroy all limits on government power, and they could impose their ideology on everyone else in the country, even children. And for that, they needed a new constitution. Latin America is the region in the world with the most constitutional experiments. And every time we have tried it, it has been a complete failure. It has enabled demagogues and populists to take over power and destroy individual freedom and destroy the economy and destroy everything. And the mother of all battles is the American Constitution. The Constitution in the United States is a beacon of freedom, and I don't like the talk about changing it or getting rid of the Electoral College. That's the way you really lose democracy. It's not by having one side winning the elections or the other, it's by destroying the institutions. It's very, very hard to build, and it's very, very easy to destroy. For us in Chile, we lost our country because we were not able to appreciate what we had. We really even created a myth that this was the most unequal, the most unfair country in the history of Latin America. And in the end, we hated our country so much that we put in charge of it people who destroyed it. It happened so fast. This is the part that's most disconcerting. So it's heartbreaking to see the place you grew up, being completely destroyed by these ideologies and these ideas. And I hope that's something that doesn't happen to people here. And that's why I like the United States, because I see more people willing to fight for this country than I saw in Chile, people willing to fight for ours. If you don't fight back, then that's when you lose. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to keep PragerU videos free, then consider making a tax-deductible donation.